Dare we open Pandora's mystic box?
To every generation, a slayer is born, except this time there were 6.
This is the dimension of imagination. You are entering the mystic zone.
Do you ladies see that aura? Something wonderful this way comes.
Welcome to the Mystic Order podcast. We are the Mystic Order of East Alabama Fiction Writers, and today we are going to talk about Renaissance women. I am Joanne, the Mystic Defender. I have that moniker because although I have represented everybody in the Mystic Order, I have not necessarily defended all of them because some of them are indefensible. Oh, Margie.
The Queen has never been to court, except in her royal court.
Hi, I'm Margie, the Mystic Illuminator, and briefly, it's because I'm a painter.
There we go.
I'm Marion, the Mystic Dog Whisperer, and I'm just mostly strange.
And the Queen totally agrees with Marion's description. And I am the Queen Mystic, and there's a reason for that.
Yes, and the name of the Queen Mystic is Gail.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. Somebody's got to keep this group on track.
The Queen,
I'm not sure it's you.
the Queen may want to remain anonymous.
Don't count on Mary for keeping us on track.
On track. And she's laughing because we just half recorded a podcast, but I did not have the thing turned on properly. So here we go again. My name is Mary, and I don't know why, but I'm the nebulous mystic.
And can you give me the definition of nebulous, Miss Mary?
Yes, it's magenta fading to cream.
But
Is that in the dictionary?
Yes, it's in the Mystic Dictionary.
perhaps it's because you are from a nebula?
Yes, there are so many beautiful colors in the nebulas.
Here we go.
Nebulae.
Well, we're going to talk about the week that was mystic. Margie, what have you done this week?
I've done a lot, and the Queen and I had a great field trip, but I'm going to leave some of those for the Queen to talk about. But I did have a long chat with Travis of Boulder, Colorado.
Who lives on a
He
boulder.
does live on a boulder because my MacBook Pro is on the blink. We had a wonderful hour-and-a-half conversation. We didn't fix it, but I learned that he learned to play the piano during COVID, and he recommended some great Netflix shows, including Sweet Tooth.
Now, why were you talking to this fella?
He was trying to help my computer log on again or sign in. It just
Can you tell me his name again?
Travis
Travis from Boulder.
from Boulder. Very nice guy. Oh, and he had to capture my, phone to show me what to do. And so I showed him all around my house.
Oh, this guy is from Somalia.
No, he lives in Boulder. He's Travis, and he went like, "Oh, you are an artist," because I showed him my Renaissance man meets 20th century woman painting, and he went, "That we'll put it on our site." Okay, I have to be brief. Bye.
I'm going to edit my Mystic high-low for this week and just talk about the high. And that would be that my Verizon phone is still cutting up. I got a new one. I went and, met with people at Verizon, not Travis from Boulder, but others at Opelika, and got a new Verizon phone. And every time I talk to my mother, she says, "You sound like you're down in a tunnel." So,
But you sound like that off your phone, too.
do I?
A little bit.
Well,
tunnel.
darn. Well, anyway, my son fashioned for me this week a tinfoil hat with a real tall, pointy antenna on the top. So it literally is the high point of my week.
And this is why I
And the
called all
love.
the other mystics and said I'm worried about Marion when I saw the picture.
We just thought that was just generally.
Yeah, well, always, but this in particular alarmed to me. Mary, are we going to put a picture of this on Facebook?
If one of my sister mystics will remind me, yes.
Okay.
And we're going to crop it because Marion has no makeup in it.
Honey, when you're wearing a tinfoil hat with a point, ain't nobody looking at your makeup.
But now I have to sit out on the front porch in my gown, wearing my tinfoil hat, to talk to Mama on the phone.
But I have to know, Marion, did it work?
If I sit out on the porch wearing my tinfoil
Was it
hat.
Reynolds? Was it Reynolds aluminum?
It was Reynolds wrap, oven tempered.
Oh,
Maybe
wow.
Margie could use that for fixing her computer. You need to tell Travis and Boulder about that.
Well, now my computer is with Charles in Atlanta
Oh.
from Onyx. And Charles calls me every day and goes like, not done yet, but hang in there.
Charles probably knows nothing about Reynolds Wrap. Mystic Queen, how was your week?
Well, I went to Fairhope, Alabama this week, and if you've never been there, run, don't walk, because Fairhope is absolutely marvelous. And I went there because one of my favorite artists, Noll, has a new book called Noll in Troy. And the problem was Noll was not in Troy and not in Fairhope. He was in Paris and his store was locked. And I particularly wanted to buy a book from its author because that means the author gets a lot more money than if you buy it from Books A Trillion. So,
And don't we know that?
yes, we have personal experience with that. So, because I was disappointed not getting the book, I treated myself. Well, I visited a classmate, so we all went, and I treated to Southwood Kitchens in Daphne, Alabama, which is its sister city. And the food is absolutely marvelous. A little pricey, but marvelous. And our waiter was named Reynolds. He did not have on a Reynolds wrap hat. And furthermore, he was hot.
Okay, Gail's new crush. I dedicate all these podcasts to all of Gail's crushes.
Somebody, has anybody got a list of my crushes? Because I forgot them the minute I met Reynolds.
Oh,
Okay, y'all did not hear that, all you crushies out there.
that's right. She's just playing.
You're
She's
hurting
playing.
feelings now.
Well, not Jordan. I will never forget him.
Yeah, he's kind of a perma crush.
Yeah, permacrust. Is that melting? The permacrush is melting.
I know, and it's terrible.
Speaking of global warming,
Well, that was on the unrecorded
Yeah.
podcast.
I blame Reynolds for a lot of that
Global warming.
And the global warming.
All right, y'all.
As we go down the gutter, Mary, how was your week?
Okay, well, I have a little short story. Like micro short story.
None of the
And
mystics
speaking
are
of
short
boulders,
stories.
there's a boulder in my neighbor's yard, and these young college boys have moved in, and they've been out there power washing the boulders. So I like them automatically. I like people who clean the boulders in the yards, and I asked them to move the boulder to my yard, and they would not. But when I went and got them up bright and early one morning to ask them to move the cast iron kitchen sink out of my house, they did. And they didn't know who I was, so I knocked on the door, and he said,
How strong does someone have to be to move a boulder?
College boys.
I think these guys could move the boulder if they'd wanted to, but they would have had to dig it up with
They
a
were just
backhoe.
cleaning it up. So they moved your sink.
They moved my sink, and I gave them a 6-pack of beer.
Did
And
they think you were totally weird, Mary?
they didn't know who I was, and they were still going to move that sink.
until the 6-pack of beer, they probably did think she was weird.
So, yeah. Okay, that's my story about boulders and young men who move sinks. Gail, if you meet them, you'll probably get a crush on both of them. Their names are Hunter and Trad, and they're cute. And
Well, I'm more
they'll come
interested
move
in the
things.
guy in the teepee. What's his name?
His name's Joseph, as is my husband's name. So things are getting real confusing about nomenclature in my house.
Just the nomenclature.
Just the nomenclature.
Okay.
The mystics, you have to be good. To be a good writer, you have to be a good reader. And so the mystics enjoy reading. My mystic book this week is an older book, and Mary and I know has read it. It is Love in the Time of Cholera. And I started reading it, I'm a slow reader, during the pandemic because I remembered it from school. I read it in Spanish first. It's by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. But it's something that you read several times in your life. And it really had a very poignant meaning now because it's about love in your old age. I mean, the people are 80 when they...
What are you
finally
saying, Joanne? Why are you giving us all the look?
I'm not just. I'm
She's
not
giving
sa-
us the look.
I'm not giving you the look. It's a very sweet, because their children think, oh, they can't be in love. They're old, but they do, and they run off together, and it's great. It's just wonderful.
Did you read it in Spanish?
I read it in Spanish as a student, but no, this time I read it in English, so I got every little juicy word. Margie.
Not passing this time. I've been reading Frida Kahlo's diary.
Speaking of juice, speaking of every little juicy word.
Well, I've been reading or looking at Joseph Philippe Béveillard's picture book, Mencière.
Can we count picture books as opuses?
Yeah.
Opa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am an Instagram friend with him. I guess if we're really friends, I follow him on Instagram. And a couple of years ago, I wrote to him. I don't remember how I wrote to him. Can you write to people on Instagram?
You can slide into their DMs.
I did something and contacted
Oh my
him.
God.
I must have.
Reynolds, do you have a DM?
I think I think
Do
I
not ask
slid
him that.
into Joseph Philippe's
DM.
DM.
Wait, maybe it's PM. Oh, it's DM, direct message.
Well, anyway, I said to him, if you ever publish a collection of these photographs, please let me know because I want to buy
to
it.
be in them.
And so I actually helped with the crowdsource funding
Ah.
of him getting this collection of photographs published from Skeleton Key Press. And got my copy of it this week, and it's absolutely beautiful. I've also gotten.
Can I borrow that book?
No.
You can slide into his DM and get your own. I also during
Sloppy sliding. No.
I also got Portraits of New Orleans, another picture book during the quarantine, which is absolutely lovely. And Queen Gail, has been to the Portraits of New Orleans, but she's unable to speak right now.
Okay, I did. It's Yardy Gras. Yardy Gras, because of the global pandemic, we couldn't have Mardi Gras. So all the other people looking at Yardy Gras were walking on the sidewalks, which is pretty smart. But to avoid dying, we didn't want to be in the crowd, so we walked on St. Charles to watch. And believe me, walking on St. Charles is just about as dangerous as a pandemic.
That'd have been so ironic.
Do y'all want me to mention Murderous Inc. and how I learned?
Yes, please do.
Mystic Gail gifted me a copy of a book called Murderous Inc. because she knows how much I love true
Murder.
crime. True crime.
Particularly murder.
And the chapter that I read yesterday informed me that the reason so many people like Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote is that they're old Nancy Drew and Judy Bolton fans who
wow.
grew up loving a mystery that a woman solves without, shooting a gun or
Exactly.
kicking anybody. And I think they are now called cozy mysteries. I think that's the popular name for this type of mystery. But the idea is that it's the old Nancy Drew fans who love Jessica Fletcher and Murder, She Wrote so much. And I found that kind of interesting. I also don't want to miss an opportunity to say that our friend and neighbor Ash Parsons' newest book is out. It's a young adult story called You're So Dead. I ordered it from Amazon and it arrived yesterday. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to recommend it in advance.
Isn't that the woman a previous clown?
Yes, she's actually a Renaissance woman herself, and
She met her husband in clown college.
I do
Yes.
believe, and they've done many wonderful things. They've made puppets and done puppet shows.
They have.
And they can. Her husband made my second mask during the pandemic, and they raised bees and
Yes.
all kind of interesting things.
But wait, Gail said a previous clown.
You can never be a previous
Yeah,
clown.
well, that's true. As the mother of a clown from birth to death, I have to agree. Is a cozy mystery a genre?
It's a subgenre. That's an academic answer.
Yes.
It's a subgenre. It doesn't tell you anything. It just answers.
It means it's a mystery.
It's a mystery that
It's
I guess
nebulous.
it's not hard boiled. It doesn't have the rough, tough male detective.
Yeah,
It's
shoot 'em
usually
up,
they're
bang,
solved
bang.
without violence.
Well, we are, by the way, we are to the point in our podcast that we call the Mystic Opus Corner. And I'm reading Hamnet, and the jury is out.
Mary, what is your opus of the
I
week?
just finished. I'm sorry, I just interrupted your question. I just finished The House of the Spirit, and I want to be like Clara the Clairvoyant.
It's a
and I want a
wonderful book.
three-legged
It
table
is.
that
I think it's her best
around.
book.
Just
Have
loved
y'all
it.
heard Allie Day on TED Talks? It's one of my total favorite TED Talks.
They are to our
I don't know if
stamp
Joanne
of
got that.
excellence, and my stamp of excellence goes in with my Mystic Sea. Jimmy and I have been traveling, and we have an RV, and we went to a place outside of Borden Springs, Alabama, which is in northeast Alabama, and it is on the Chief Ladiga bike path. And the Chief Ladiga bike path was made from a abandoned railroad way, and they are doing this across the country. And it was absolutely exquisite. It was like the Natchez Parkway of bike paths.
Is there a name for the project?
Rails to trails.
Rails to trails.
Rails to trails.
I hope they put one in Auburn.
Well, that is my stamp of excellence. I heard yesterday at a civic meeting that Opelika is the Lee Russell Council of Governments is starting a project and to do an investigation about doing a rails to trail path from Opelika to Roanoke. And they're wonderful. Margie knows of one in Ohio where her son lives, and you can walk them, you can ride bikes, and of course, they're just flat as flitters because,
Flat as what?
flitters.
What are flitters?
Well, yeah, you
Flitters
mean
like a
fritters?
No, not fritters. Flitters. Flitters are
Flitters.
much more
Fritters.
She's
flat
saying
than-
flitter.
than pancakes.
Flitters are flat things.
You know
They
what's
are
really flat
very
is a
flitter.
sail possum.
But trains did not want to go up hills, so they made them as
Marion
level
is
as
not
can.
allowed to say what she's thinking on this podcast. Let's move on from the
Yes,
flitters.
okay, that is my mystic stamp of excellence. Margie, what is your stamp of excellence?
My stamp of excellence comes from our trip to the Queens and my trip to Wetumpka, Alabama, and just the fantastic people that are there. And one I would like to stamp with excellence is the director of the Elmore County Historical Society and Museum. She gave us a wonderful tour. It's in an old post office. And one of the highlights was she and her sister had recreated an electric chair, which I got a picture of the Queen sitting in.
An electric chair like
That would have never happened if I'd known that electric chair was called Big Mama.
big yellow mama, as you saw.
and it was yellow. Gail did not put on the
Oh, my
straps, but it
gosh.
wasn't. It was a replica. And then they also have a giant onyx, very valuable, not allowed to be photographed. One of the
Really?
big. Oh yeah, really, really incredible. A man cut his leg in the lake, and he dug it up, and there was a
Dug up his leg?
Dug up his leg as he was bleeding to death. He found the onyx.
Wow.
Yeah.
But did they have to amputate?
We didn't hear more about him. We just got his onyx.
As usual.
Anyway, that was a great trip. And Marion?
I'm going to skip travel and give 2 stamps of excellence, but I always thought flitter
Did we
was.
say that was in the rules that you could skip something and add one?
I'm an Aquarian.
Oh, I see.
We're rule breakers. I'm not going to say what I thought flitter meant because Gail said I can't. But the Urban Dictionary says it's a mix between flirting and Twitter.
Oh, a flitter.
Flat is a flitter?
So that's a new meaning. Anyway, my stamps of excellence go to. Actually, I want to give them to the podcast producers and the music that they chose for their podcast because both are excellent. I have listened to podcast producer David Ridgen's Someone Knows Something, which is several seasons long. He covers true crimes. He does it very well. But the theme song for the first 2 seasons is a song written by Bob Wiseman and performed by Mary Margaret O'Hara called I Will Never Stop My Love. And it is one of the most beautiful songs I have ever heard in my life.
Write that down, somebody.
We
The
are.
other is an 8-part Texas Monthly podcast that was made from a 3-part magazine feature. I used to subscribe to Texas Monthly because it has great writers. This is Skip Hollingsworth. He has done another true crime podcast called Tom Brown's Body, which is very sad but beautifully done. He's also Skip Hollandsworth also wrote the movie Bernie, if any of you have seen that with Jack Black. It's based on a true story, too, that he covered for Texas Monthly. But the song, one of the songs that's featured in this podcast is the Avett Brothers, who my son tells me have been popular for a long, long time. And I'm positive I'm kin to them because my family's name is Averett, and I'm sure that extra ER just got chopped out in their side of the family. But they have done
Was that on Ellis Island?
Maybe. They have a song called No Hard Feelings, which figures prominently in the story of this missing teenager who disappeared from the small town in Texas. And it, too, is sublime. No Hard Feelings.
No Hard
The Avett
Feelings.
Brothers.
Excellent.
Both of those podcasts and their music get my stamp of excellence.
All right.
Do you have a stamp of excellence
Well,
this
I
week?
always have a stamp of excellence. There's not nary a day that I'm not having a stamp of excellence. But this time, I'm not much of a documentary watcher. And especially if it's music, I don't know why. I'm not much of a TV watcher until nighttime. But my favorite music documentary was the Ken Burns country music documentary. It was amazing. But I watched one called Echo in the Canyon. It's an old documentary, not old, 2019, but I'd never seen it. And the narrator is the handsome version of Bob Dylan, his son Jacob Dylan, who's the youngest child of 5.
Oh.
And Jacob's no spring chicken. When you think child of Bob Dylan, well, he should be 20, but no, Jacob's no spring chicken. He has 4 boys of his own. But in this documentary, and I'm going to read you a little paragraph. Echo in the Canyon celebrates the popular music that came out of LA's Laurel Canyon neighborhood in the mid-'60s. Folk went electric, and the Byrds, the Beach Boys, Buffalo Springfield, and the Mamas and the Papas cemented the California sound. It was a moment. 1965 through 1967, when bands came to LA to emulate the Beatles, and Laurel Canyon emerged as a hotbed of creativity and collaboration. And in this, Jacob Dylan sings with and interviews Brian Wilson, Norah Jones, and there wasn't enough of that. It was wonderful. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. He talks with these people. Tom Petty, Michelle Phillips, Eric Clapton, just to name a few.
I never knew that Norah Jones has been around that long.
She hasn't, but he's been pairing up with people to sing the old 60s songs. And she hasn't, because she's Ravi Sankar's daughter, and that was his era.
Yes, okay.
Young Jacob wasn't around then either. Yeah. So, Gail, Bob Dylan just turned 80. Yeah. So
I know. So his kid
could be older than
could
20.
Be 60.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's quite 60 because he's the baby of the 5 Bob Dylan had. But I'm thinking.
I know. He's still a kid.
But we just don't know when Bob started. Mary, what is your stamp of excellence this time?
I'm going to double stamp Gail's. I like that movie a lot. I love learning about Laurel Canyon, and I'm just going to give a broad and general stamp to Joni Mitchell and remind folks that she's probably the greatest genius. She might be the Renaissance woman that we're all looking for today.
Love Joni Mitchell. Love Joni Mitchell. I was going to say, the Mystic Sea, I have told about mine going to the Chief Ladiga bike trail. Beautiful little creek, Terrapin Creek, that ran by it as well. Margie, do you have a mystic?
Margie and I are probably going to do this one together.
Do that, yes. Y'all, I know you had a mystic outing.
I invited the Mystics to go to 2 places, to Wetumpka, Alabama, and that's because in Wetumpka, Alabama has been renovated. And also, let me say that Wetumpka was partly used in the filming of Big Fish. It was renovated in Hometown Takeover. What channel is that on, Margie?
I think it's on the House and Garden. They might have moved to like Discovery or something, but it's this couple from Laurel, Mississippi that has redone Laurel, and then they did a competition of all these towns, and Wetumpka won, and they went to the town and remodeled about 6 or 7 houses and painted murals and stuff. And Wetumpka was hit by a really bad tornado in 2019. Yeah. So part of that was a rebuilding of the town.
But a lot of mural-like and beautiful signs and storefronts. And the reason I particularly wanted to go there is I'm a fan of the artist John Kelly Fitzpatrick, and there's a museum called the Kelly with John Kelly Fitzpatrick's work, along with other people that were in the Dixie Art Colony. And I have a friend whose aunt was Warrie LeBron, and she was part of that artist colony. And later, Frank Appleby, who is our API person, API is Auburn University's name before it was API, and he was head of the art department.
He was the head of when I went to Auburn.
Oh, he was? Oh, goodness.
Mr. Appleby.
So both Auburn University and API. But he joined that art colony. And I think what stands out to me about Appleby was there was, at the time, in 1946, the United States had an advancing American art collection that it was traveling around the United States. And it was to show that our modern artists were modern. And the United States was modern now after the war. And so once these politicians that gave the money for it saw it, they thought, this is totally un-American and weird. So they put it up for sale, and Frank Appleby bought part of that collection.
And it had Georgia O'Keeffe's, and I mean, it's fabulous. And Auburn University owned it.
And Goldwaite.
Is that the one that had been Sean's Hunger
Yes,
in it?
yes.
Which they found years later packed away in a back room, if I'm not mistaken?
Well, the thing about this art collection was it was hanging in people's offices.
Right.
And it was all around the campus. And, when we visited the Kelly, they said the same thing, that it was at, what school is there? What school is there?
In Wetumpka?
Uh-huh. It was in some of those offices.
Right.
So they had to collect it to put it in. So that's why I wanted to go. But as it turns out, when we walked into the Kelly, they were having a program, so we had to tippy-toe around.
I should say the program was a lecture on art by a blind man.
Ooh. Oh, I love it.
How does he paint?
I don't know, because we kind of didn't listen to his talk.
We were too busy trying to look at-
paints?
Well, we got in the last tail of the lecture, so we don't know what. Maybe he's an art critic.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That would be fascinating.
But
Anyway, so there was an elderly gentleman, we know his exact age because he had lived there 70 years, and he came when he was 14. So
70 plus 14 equals 84.
that's how. And he said, well, what are you doing here? And we said, well, we wanted to see Wetumpka. And he said, well, did you see the houses that were renovated for this hometown takeover? And we said no. And he was telling us the streets, and I was thinking, we will never find that. We will never find that.
Oh, and so we learned that the man's name was Chick.
Oh.
And Chick was a very sweet man. And
That's a
he
60s
said,
name.
He said, well, listen, I'll ride with y'all and show you where the houses are.
Oh.
And so we said, okay, we'll do that. And so we start to go for the Queen's car. And as we're getting near her car, he goes like, well, why don't we go in my car?
Oh my gosh, y'all are about to get kidnapped, and Marion's
so
going to hear about it on a podcast.
We said, okay. He looked, he was not in bad shape, but so we got in his car.
Wait. No, I don't know.
Well, he was quite handsome.
Oh, Gail got a crush on him.
Well, not immediately because he was
too old for
He
Gail.
was out of her age group.
Okay.
So anyway, Gail wanted to say this line, and just to act like that I didn't say it, but I'm going to say it for the continuity of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got in the car, Chick goes like, "Oh, by the way, I don't drive so good."
Well, I'm glad y'all had an adventure.
Chick.
A safe trip.
But was it a good
He was
tour
quite
anyway?
He was quite gracious. He showed us all the houses that had been redone and told us the dirt on all the people. He said, "Oh yeah, they interviewed the former mayor in the barbershop. He's no longer a barber, and he's no longer the mayor, but they pretended like it anyway. And then he went like,
Wonderful.
and this house these two women lived in, but they're broken up now, and somebody else lives there. But it was really interesting.
know.
He was quite gracious,
You
and
did know the dirt.
Gail and I asked him, the Queen and I asked him, well, give us your phone number so when we come back with the Mystics. And he said, I don't usually give my phone numbers to strange people.
Oh my God. Just put them in my car.
And I said, Chick, I've only been with you for 2 hours.
Just to show you that even though Marion is the only one that says she's strange, people think we all are. Let's move on to our mystic bites. Marion, I know, do you have a mystic bite?
I could just very quickly run through this because I know time's a factor. Us
It
having
is.
been on the second recording of this particular podcast, I've been eating zipper peas and boiled okra and brown down squash and sliced tomato and hot pepper.
Yum.
But yesterday I gave in and ate a plant-based Beyond Burger wrapped in lettuce at BurgerFi.
Was it good?
They're very, very good. They're not as good as zipper peas boiled with okra, brown down squash, sliced tomato, and hot pepper. But if you're going to eat outside your own kitchen, they're good, and no animals die in the making of the Beyond Burger.
Would you say that list one more time? Let's see if we can hear the beat.
Zipper peas with okra, brown down squash, sliced tomato, and hot pepper.
Love it. We're going to make a song.
I'm hungry.
That does. It sounds like a country song.
I hope I can do mine to a beat. My mystic bite. Are we to me?
Yes.
We are
Okay.
almost finished with the podcast, but go ahead.
Okay. My mystic bite is Vidalia onion pie. My cousin, who is the Earl of Montgomery, came to visit, and I didn't want to make anything just normal Southern for him, so I made a Vidalia onion pie. My favorite recipe can be found online by the Black Peppercorn. And listen, make it with saltines.
Yes.
Sleeve of saltines.
A sleeve of
sleeve of
saltines.
saltines.
Don't use those buttery crackers.
So I have a mystic bite, which is, I don't cook. But I'm going to do a quick shout out to our fan named Bartholomew. I won't give out any more personal information because I don't know anymore.
And that's not his real name.
I know, so I'm safe. So,
Yeah.
hey, Bartholomew, thanks for being the best fan ever. And he put up a recipe for a tax day painkiller, and it calls for 3 ounces of dark rum, 1 ounce of cream of coconut something, an ounce of OJ, and an ounce of pineapple juice.
I'm gonna make
Shaking
that
over
for us.
ice.
The next mystic,
I agree. But as far as Bartholomew, he's such a good fan that when I liked it, he said, "Oh, writers, you'll like this one. It's called The Dark and Stormy."
I used to make dark
yeah.
and stormy. When I was a
So-
bartender, I'd make dark and stormies.
Yeah, and it sounds really good, like a sort of a Moscow Mule. I won't read the recipe because y'all can look it up. But thanks, Bartholomew.
Well, I have been eating in a 24-foot camper, so I don't have a bite.
Mac and cheese.
So it's hot
get
dogs for you.
We get a little fancier than mac and cheese.
Oh,
But yes,
so let me
I just
ask you: when you go to these camping places, do you cook out like on a stove? Like, do you wrap your things in Reynolds wrap?
and make a hobo meal on the fire.
Hobo.
More Reynolds wrap is good for everything. Marky says her like not nephew grandson makes masks out of Reynolds wrap. It's just wonderful. We should get them as a sponsor.
Yes.
I hope
should.
so.
Marion, you call them. You're good at crowdsourcing. We learned today. Whatever that means.
That's my one and only crowdsource
You're a
I've ever
Renaissance
done.
woman.
What exactly is a crowdsource? I must have missed that.
I think
No,
it's
we
when you
do.
throw yourself into a crowd and they hold you up and pass you. Oh, wait, is that crowd surf?
That's crowd surf.
I thought Marion was making money crowd surfing.
Actually, crowdsourcing is part of Marion's being a Renaissance woman because she's
Ooh.
supporting the arts.
What's a
Oh, I
Renaissance
see. When
woman?
everybody sources your
When you put it
Yeah.
out there that this is a work that needs to be done or this is a project that needs to be done, but there's no money to do it.
so it's kind of like go source me.
Yes.
Exactly. Go
I got it.
fund me.
Except a publisher did.
Hey,
it.
listen, the Mystics want you to crowdsource us.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, just send money. And while I'm saying that, I know we're not on task, but as mentioned earlier, the Mystic Queen's birthday picture was taken in the Big Mama, the Big Yellow Mama, and that picture will be on Facebook on the 22nd. But I've been getting from the Facebook, do I want to fund a charity for my birthday? And I was thinking it'd be so much more fun just to have them send the money directly to me.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you get a Cash App.
The Mystic Queen charity.
Yeah.
Cash App handle.
So if you were thinking for, you want to send me birthday money, I don't have a charity in mind. but
Let's say Save the Queen.
Save the Queen.
God, save the Queen.
Yes, and if you need my address, you can PM me.
You can slide into her DMs.
Oh, is it DM?
It's DMs.
Oh, well, don't PM me then, because I'm usually asleep in the PM.
It's Instagram. Do you have an Instagram?
I don't know.
No, she doesn't.
If you don't have there's some other things for Facebook and Twitter, but we won't get
Yeah,
into
you
that.
can message me.
There you go.
We have tweeted, but I don't think we've
Gail
Instagrammed.
flitters.
She flitters. I flitter.
You are definitely
Flat
the
as a
flitterer.
flitter.
What was our topic, Joanne?
Oh, our topic. Oh, yes, we had a topic. It's being a Renaissance woman. We hear so much about Renaissance men. But, Margie, did you have a bite?
Oh, yes. I would say our granddaughter came down for her orientation to Auburn.
Yes.
And so we did a delightful trip to carry out to Mellow Mushroom. And we got
love the Mellow
Cosmic Karma, the buffalo chicken, and the shiitake. Whatever
That's
that
a
was.
mushroom. You
It's
got a mushroom.
It's got the
shroomy.
mushroom pizza.
Oh.
But Wayne's son Channing told us
Where was this now again?
Mellow Mushroom in Auburn.
Oh, okay.
They're the best pizza in Auburn.
They are.
I disagree, but we'll move on.
Who is the best pizza in Auburn?
Oh, by far. I can't think of the name. Little Italy.
Little Italy.
Little Italy is by far the best pizza
I
in
know
Auburn.
it for your Mystic
I
bite.
know we're on a schedule here, but I found a Chef Boyardee pizza kit from I grew up on. I didn't know there was any pizza that didn't come out of a Chef Boyardee pizza kit. We had it at the Miss America pageant every year. We had pizza sat on the floor and Mama pulled from Miss Brazil. But
Every year, no matter what.
she always said the women from Brazil were the prettiest ones in the pageant. But
Well, they've had that done.
yeah, now they have. I'm not so sure back in the 50s and 60s. But anyway, John David rather made the Chef Boyardee pizza from a kit this week. And I just felt like
your bite.
I felt like I was way back in my teenage years.
Well, I know we're supposed to stay on topic, but now I have to say that Bob Langley, the Mystic King, is the best pizza maker in the world. And we used to have a farm, and we invited friends over to the farm, and we had a couple of brewskis. But anyway, he was making pizza and throwing the pizza in the air and showing. He's originally from New York, but he's a little smoothed over. Let me say that. But he was throwing the pizza in the air and showing off, and so he threw this big hunk of heavy flour in the air, and it hit the overhead fan.
Oh, God.
And you would think that it would just go pizza around the overhead fan, but no, it took off like an automatic weapon. And it hit the wall and took out, thank God it missed the guest, and took out the plaster. So we have decided now when Bob makes pizza, there's no drinking beforehand.
And leave the fans off.
Yeah, turn the fan off. We're making pizza.
That is some coagulant dough, let me tell you.
Oh, my God. That was greatest sentence, Joanne.
One more comment about the shiitake.
No, we're on a schedule.
No, this is about the shiitake pizza.
Oh.
Wayne thought it was going to be pork sausage.
Shank. That's shank taki. Shank.
Okay, look, I know we're on a schedule. But you know what I think is funny about Mellow Mushroom is that all of their decor and some of their titles are just blatantly homages to psilocybin mushrooms. And there's all these sweet little Nancys and Clarks sitting in there dining. Look at the art on the wall, Joanne.
No, I was going to say they put psilocybin on your mushroom.
No, that's illegal.
Oh,
You're
on the
absolutely
walls.
right,
Oh,
Mary.
well.
But the
They're
whole thing is
they're little
dedicated
smiling-
to
they're little
magic
smiling
mushrooms.
everywhere.
Which is how mellow mushrooms started.
That's how you got mellow.
The mellowing mushroom.
Right.
Joanne, ask me about Renaissance women.
Oh, Mary, let's talk
No,
about
I want to
Renaissance
say
women.
something about Renaissance women.
But we're on a schedule.
I looked it up in the Merriam-Webster dictionary.
Oh, good.
So you know I get to go first.
I looked it up too.
Oh, but wait. The definition
is
is a woman, this is a modern Renaissance woman, who is interested in and knows a lot about many things. Now, in my estimation, that's every woman.
it is exactly.
That is every woman. They know a lot about how to work, how to have children, how to do their household, how to budget. Most of them do the gardening. So if that's the definition, a woman who is interested in and knows a lot of many things, we might as well stop here because that's everybody.
Well, but I think of the definition of a Renaissance woman is something more genteel and more affluent. And that's a bad word, I think, for that. But, you know, I think it is
What
one.
you mean they have to be affluent?
They don't have to be affluent. No, not at all. And I can think of.
Why did you say it then?
Well, because it was a bad word. That's why I immediately said that's a bad word.
I think of bad words as
I think
As
that,
flitter. What?
I think that just because a woman or a man does everything doesn't mean they know how to do it.
I
No
agree.
kidding.
And so I think the Renaissance man or woman knows knows a lot and knows how to do a lot. Well.
and that's modern Renaissance women.
Modern Renaissance women would be different.
And I think we owe a lot of gratitude to YouTube.
Everybody get your pen out now. This is going to be the biggest challenge the Mystics have ever had. You can only answer yes or no. That's it.
Oh, shoot.
This is a quiz. I was thinking, is there a quiz that I could take to see if I'm a Renaissance woman? And I couldn't find one, so I made one up.
Oh, good, Mary. Go.
Okay, so you only can say yes or no and keep up with your own score.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
I'm going to ask a question.
I already know I have.
And we're going to go around the table
Do
and
I have
say
to
yes
take it
or
'cause
no.
I already know I have a perfect score.
Yeah, you
Can
have to
I be
take it.
excused?
You have to pick
And
one
we'll
now.
just go in the order that we're sitting, and I'll go last. Question number 1. Can you knit cables on a sweater?
Yes.
Mark,
What are cables?
no, say it.
No.
No.
What are cables?
That was a no. And yes, so I get a point. Okay, number 2. Can you put dinner on the table for 5 without panicking?
Oh, shoot, yes. I
One
put it on
word.
for 60.
One word.
Yes.
Yes.
I guess.
One word.
I'm gonna go no for Marion and yes for me.
And Mary gets a no.
I would say Marion can do it
I
with a
told
crock
y'all
pot and
that
a heart.
the Mystics could not do this with one word answers.
So
Okay.
that's because
Ready?
we're so
Number-
Renaissance-y.
I know, Renaissance women are wordy. Number 3, can you draw a diagram to scale of the solar system and include the asteroid belt and the Oort cloud? Yes or no?
No.
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 Yes, and I'm gonna
Yes.
put Pluto in
Number
there.
4,
Pluto goes in there.
no, it doesn't. Number 4. Number 4, can you record, edit, upload a video to YouTube and link it to an online presentation?
This is everything Mary can do.
I can't
I
cook.
just figured
I can
it out.
do that now. Yes.
That would be a no.
No.
What was the question again?
And yes, I can do that, but I cannot cook, Gail. I put some things I can't
Oh,
do.
bullshit.
Okay,
you
look,
just put
number-
that one in to make us happy.
Number 5, can you clean your house?
Yes.
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 Exceedingly so.
And no, for me. Number 6, can you drive anywhere without a Garmin or whatever, but only using a road map?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I have Margie, I can.
Gail, yes or no?
Yes to Margie.
And I'm going to say no for Marion because she doesn't turn left.
I can go to Big Lots without a Garmin.
Can you go anywhere in the country with a road map?
I can't go anywhere in the country with a chauffeur.
Marion doesn't take left turns. Okay, and I can use a road map.
I
Wait a
can
minute,
use
one word
I
answer,
can sit
yes.
down
prefer
at
a
the
road map.
table and use a road map. I just won't get behind the car with it.
Okay, number
I'm going
7.
yes for Marion.
Number 7.
Number 7, can you get your significant other, the person you live with, to clean the counters after he or she makes something in the kitchen?
Oh, yes.
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 Who's your significant other, Marion?
The person I live with.
Yeah.
I can lift my eyebrow and get the entire room to clean my counters.
Okay, I am a no. Number 8, can you explain the difference y'all, these are one-word answers now. Don't do the task. Can you explain the difference in scientific law and scientific theory?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes. And number 9,
Yes.
can you play an instrument well enough to suit yourself? A musical instrument?
No.
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 Yes.
No. And number 10, can you sing almost every single word, including humming the overture of Jesus Christ Superstar, the Broadway version?
Yes.
Yes.
Not every single word. No.
Yes.
And yes. Okay, so while y'all are tallying your scores, I'm going to go ahead and
Mine was a
sing the
10.
entire version of. No, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what you get. If you got a 0 through 3, you're a Maiasaura, which is a dinosaur that really loved her babies. Number 4 through 6, your score, you are not your mama's mama. And if you got a 5 through a 7, you are a groovy go-getter. But if you got an 8 through a 10, you are a Renaissance woman.
I got 10.
But could your
I
mama's
am not
mama
a
do that
Renaissance
technical
woman.
stuff with the Garmin and the computer cable?
That's why that was 5 through 7.
Oh, okay.
I want to know what musical instrument you play, Gail.
Yeah.
I said I was yes to every single one. I didn't say whether I was telling the truth or not.
Oh, my.
I can play. I can play the kazoo,
Child.
and I can play "I'm in Love with the Big Blue Frog" on the kazoo. You want to hear it?
Well enough, and obviously well enough to suit herself.
If you, listening audience, will take our Renaissance quiz and put your answer, you can either slide it in our DMs, but we don't have an Instagram. You can put it on our Facebook page or our Twitter. Then we will send you a sticker. And if we like your answers, we might even send you a book. So take the quiz and share your score.
And the mystics, I will have to say, are mostly modern Renaissance women, because the difference between, I think, an everyday, a woman who does, quote, something well, the mystics like to explore into different realms. We have done art.
Well, see, that's where
travel.
Mary is a scientist, and so that was prone to science. And
But Mary still goes into the arts. She loves music. I think
Yeah.
that's part of the arts. She loves, I mean, listen to her about her, I married a movie man. I mean, she appreciates, and well done movies are art. So I think that's the stepping over into it and to expand your horizons at every opportunity, which is what we do. The definition of a Renaissance man, which I went by to determine if we were Renaissance women, are say, if you have a well-rounded education, all of us do. If you are self-taught as well, and we are also self-taught.
Well, let me interrupt. I was looking at what a Renaissance man from the 14th century through the 17th century, and there were no Renaissance women. They were all subjugated as wives, nuns.
I will say no. I have a list of Renaissance
Well, there are
women.
a few. There are a few, but not many. I mean, there were 10, but not many. But the ones that were not wives were nuns or living in a relative's house. But the
Or prostitutes.
yeah, well, that would be okay. That's kind of Renaissance.
Or models for art.
But the Renaissance was classical philosophy, literature, art, political, and global exploration. That's
Global exploration, hence the multilingual. And there are two of us who speak more than one language. In fact, no, three of us at least. Margie picks
let's
up.
hear a little language, Margie.
Margie picks up a little of the
CC.
language. She does. She picks up a little of the
Or
language
wee
everywhere
wee.
she travels.
And PP said sa. My godmother was reading
Please
the children.
take that out when you
Oh,
edit
no,
this.
no, no.
My
That's a
godmother was
keeper.
reading a book to her grandchildren one day, and it said, and Pepe said Cece, and she read, and PP said sa.
So maybe some of us don't have language, but
I can say a
She
few
was my
words in
godmother. She
Swahili.
wasn't a mystic.
there you are. And why can you say a few words in Swahili?
Because I went on a research trip to Kenya and camped in a tent for a month.
Precisely. And that defines a Renaissance woman. If I asked some other of my friends, would you sleep in a tent in Kenya? They would go, hell no.
Their laws.
When I was looking through the Renaissance, and not in person, but online, I was thinking, what of these Renaissance people, what are some of the things they did or their traits that reminds me of myself? And the one that came to mind for me was Cabinets of Curiosity, which happened during the Renaissance. And I absolutely love Cabinets of Curiosity, which was the beginning. The art market started with collections, straight from the idea of Cabinets of Curiosity. And they were the beginnings of museums, which eventually became our modern museum. But I have visited many cabinets. I have Cabinets of Curiosities, and I have collections, if you're a collector.
And you make cabinets of curiosities. That's what your art
Your art
is.
is,
It's
yeah.
basically cabinets of
Well,
curiosities.
Margie certainly makes
Yes,
cabinets.
I do them. And my new studio is a walk-in cabinet of curiosities.
Margie's are more like universes of curiosity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, you
They're
know,
not
a
just
cabinet can be
cabinets.
an entire room.
Okay.
Or an entire box full of something. But my son, the Mystic Prince, and I make it a point of interest on our trips to go to Cabinets of Curiosity or museums of any kind. Mostly they're Bigfoot museums, but and I've mentioned many times about the Jurassic Museum of Technology in Los Angeles, or is it near LA or in Los Angeles. But the other Cabinet of Curiosity I decided I wanted to talk about on the Renaissance women, and I think there were a lot of Renaissance women involved in this one, is the Museum of Broken Relationships. And the Museum of Broken Relationships used to be in LA. It might be closed now. But it's items sent in that was part of the divorce or part of the broken relationship. And there's all kind of items in glass boxes sent by those with broken hearts. But my favorite are breast implants. And the note under there from the person who sent it in said, my husband really wanted me to have these breast implants. I never liked them, and the minute we divorced, I had them removed, and I'm sending them to you because it represents our broken relationship.
That's quite perfect.
But are you saying that she is a Renaissance woman?
I would think so.
Oh, sure.
I mean, how many things have you?
Would
you
a
know,
Renaissance woman have breast implants because her man
she'd
said
have them
to?
taken out when she became
A Renaissance
enlightened.
woman, maybe so.
The Enlightenment.
Maybe
when she was
so.
reborn,
Which she
Yeah.
was.
which is the meaning of the Renaissance.
Exactly.
Reborn of the classical arts.
Yes, from ancient,
Yeah.
Dark.
Greece and Rome.
Political. And, because if I wrote this quiz, I would say, how many of you held a political office?
I tried.
I wouldn't even consider that.
Well, it's in the Renaissance.
Joanne tried.
Well, I made mine up totally.
Well, I would have made that up because I've held political office and I could say yes to all 10.
Y'all raise your hand if Gail should write a Renaissance woman quiz.
Yes.
No,
She's
no.
projecting her
Yes or
quiz
no?
No,
onto
because
me.
we already know the subject of our next podcast.
Which is?
Which is?
We're gonna read our work. I just talked to y'all about it. This worries me. Okay, you know what? Aren't we to
We are
our
down
mystic?
to our mystic moment.
Because I want to mention my mystic moment because I missed because of the phone ringing in the podcast booth. I missed the talk about Wetumpka. I'm sure Margie carried on.
She did
Well,
and told us about Chick.
well that's my mystic moment.
I said that was your moment, but you go ahead.
Did you tell about leaving the parking lot?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Chick was 84, and we really didn't know if we were being kidnapped or not. But we get in this Cadillac with Chick, and as we're leaving the parking lot, he says to us, "I don't drive so good anymore."
But at least you were in a Cadillac. Lots of metal
Well,
around you.
also, I thought we could defend ourselves against an 84-year-old, but I don't know. He looked pretty fit, didn't he?
He did, but it was actually like a Ford Explorer.
No, it was a Cadillac. Margie, quit drinking with Chick. Was it Chick or Chick?
Or
Chick.
chic.
Chick.
I have to say he was
That's right,
still a
chic,
very handsome
chic.
dude.
Oh, well.
Gail's
and there's-
third crush of the podcast.
Yeah, I might have a crush on him.
We thought he would be too old for you. Do you have a mystic moment, Margie?
Well, my mystic moment, my husband Wayne and I were visiting our friend Kim and sitting in his wonderful studio in Atlanta. And Wayne goes, "Oh, go away, Eleanor. And I went like, what? And he said, Kim's long departed dog, Eleanor, Wayne saw out of the corner of his eye.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, is it the beginnings of Parkinson's? Because you know that Parkinson's commercial where he sees the two dogs?
two dogs.
But he said Eleanor nudged him on the leg.
Now,
But then-
is
Oh.
this your husband?
yeah. But it's okay. He figured it was all right. It was
It
the
could've just
spirit
been
of
Eleanor.
Eleanor. Uh-huh.
Now, Margie,
Interesting.
that is totally strange.
That is a mystic moment.
I will say so.
Yes.
It is.
Mary,
Ghost dogs.
Ghost dog.
I have a mystic moment.
what is your mystic moment, Mary?
I was just sitting at this table with some mystics, and I looked up, and one of them
Disappeared.
has vanished.
Marion can do that without a sound.
Yeah, she's just vanished.
Just a little nebula.
I think she's in
Yeah.
the toiletta.
No, she went
I
to
think
meet
she
her.
got in her Cadillac and went home without taking left turns.
She went to meet her contractor.
Oh.
Let's talk about her since she's not here. And let's talk about Katie, too. Katie hasn't been here in a while.
we ought to mention that. Mystic
We
Katie
are
is on her way
misting.
to Maine. Did she invite us? No.
No, she.
Nope.
Oh, and I love Maine. Maine is one of my favorite.
They're
little
going to go
states.
see the Stephen King.
Ooh,
They're going to visit with
she's
him
gonna-
personally?
I don't know. I think so.
Oh, my
She
God.
said she would drive
Who
by.
told you that?
I asked her.
Oh,
She said she
they're
was gonna
going to
do
see
it.
birds, I bet. They're going to Arcadia National Park for sure.
I bet you the puffins are in.
I'm going to
Oh.
ask Stephen King. He's my best friend since I read his book. And I'm going to ask him if
he
Katie's
knows
on her
Katie.
way up
Is
there.
he your best friend on Twitter?
If you would tell Stephen King that a mystic came looking for him and a mystic is asking about her,
He'll
you
probably
g-
answer.
Absolutely.
Is asking about him.
asking
Slide
about
in.
him. That's right.
Did you
He would be
DM
all
him?
about that.
I'll slide later.
All right.
Well, and Marion had to leave, as we said, to visit. I have a mystic moment, but it is akin to Margie's. As we have been traveling, Jimmy says he's been hearing music. That's my husband, has been hearing music.
Was the radio turned on?
No, and that's the
Was
thing.
it turned down to low?
Gosh.
This is at night, not music like during daylight, but as he's laying in bed, he hears
What's the
music.
difference in music at night and music in the daylight?
Because we wouldn't have the radio on at night. And we don't have, and as I said, we had no cell phone service. So, but he has been hearing music in his head and trying to figure
Wow.
out where it is coming from and what
One
it
more
is.
question. Was there a nearby camper?
No. The wonderful thing about this is the closest camper was 100 yards away. So
Were they playing music loudly?
no.
What about the
We
Reynolds
do
wrap?
not approve and we do not allow.
Where do you keep the Reynolds wrap in your camper?
Well, that's the thing. Maybe he should have had it around him.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
the other day he said he heard it as he came home. And he was laying there and he said, wait a minute, it's God Bless America. And then he heard someone say that, and this is like 4:00 in the morning, a gale hour of the day. Thank you for listening to our fine. And it sounded like the radio, but there was no radio
Has he gotten
on.
a new filling in his tooth?
Well, that's what we're going to have to check and see. Or the
Did he
re-
get the vaccination?
I mean, no, has he really
Clearly.
had some fillings put in his
No,
teeth?
he has not. But he's worried about it. That and maybe something. I don't know. Maybe it's the Reynolds wrap. We'll have to try Reynolds wrap head. Maybe I can borrow it from Marion.
or move it away. I'm thinking it might be the receiver.
There's an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
I've got a mystic moment from Marion talking to her on the phone the other day.
And hers
we were
was-
we were discussing macular degeneration, which is
Yes.
weird, but we're talking about taking these ARED things. And she
Taking
said
Arabs?
AREDs, it's a vitamin that you take twice a day. It's supposed to help with macular
Macular
degeneration.
yes.
Do you
Which-
have macular
No,
degeneration?
neither of us do, but it's supposed to prevent it. But Marion told me that some people that have macular degeneration who can't read words anymore, the letters turn up as musical notes.
Yeah, I heard about
yeah.
that.
That's
Maybe from
cool.
you.
Maybe
cool.
that Jimmy, something to do with Jimmy.
Maybe we'll
Wow.
have to ask. But we have come to the end of another Mystic podcast. Thank you for listening to us. And please tune in again. As Gail said, we will be reading at our next Mystic event, and you will love it. So until that time, be the flame, not the
Not the
moth.
moth.
Not the moth.